team that had a lot of experienced players. We had had a great run, as we all know, 78 through 80, and the team continued to be very strong, and Coach McCarroll left a nice nucleus. That team actually started 5 seniors. 4 seniors that had been in the program: Lars Anderson, Adam Lozich, John Kuhn, Justin Monaghan, of course, and then Ernie Hubbard joined us for 1 year in 85, and he was sort of the electric, the lightning rod that kind of was able to put us over the top a little bit. So that was an experienced basketball team that got off to a really good start. We lost a tough game at UIC after that. They played very well together, very consistent through the course of the season, and you never knew going into the NCAA tournament, because that particular team, even though it might not have been the most talented of our North Park Championship teams, had to beat the defending national champion Wisconsin Whitewater, had to beat a national power, #1 ranked for a good part of the season, Wittenberg University, and then beat Potsdam for the national championship, and Potsdam ended up going 32-0 and winning the championship the next year. So that team played a great NCAA tournament schedule and was able to come through. That team was probably more defensively oriented than most of the others that we had, because we were a little bit undersized. Lars Anderson was really the only big guy at about 6'7". Monaghan was the 4-man at 6'5". Safranovich gave us some banging off the bench backing up Lars, but that was a team that relied on pressing defense and getting out offensively as best we could. It was a guard-oriented team between Hubbard and Kuhn and Lazich. Mike Parker off the bench, so that was a team that had some depth at guard and really utilized it well. 87 team was a very traditional college basketball team because it was very big. You had Mike Starks, who was 6'8", Danny Mulcairn, who was 6'7", Mike Barrich, who was arguably as good a guard that's ever played in this league, was 6'3" and a wonderful athlete. Henry Gaddafors was a strong, tough, defensive-oriented 6'4" forward, and a prototypical point guard in Mike Parker. So that was a very traditional basketball team with excellent players. It's so much fun because I love them both the same, as you would imagine me to say, and yet they're as different as night and day. One was small, quick, aggressive. Everything was full out every night. The other one was a more traditional man-to-man, half-court, get the ball inside, use your outside great player, and get your job done. Unbelievable. It was as big or bigger as it was in the first 3, and again, part of it was because the national championship was this time at Calvin in Grand Rapids, so it was another 3-hour ride, and so we were spoiled a little bit. We had a chance to play in Rock Island, and then we had a chance to play in Grand Rapids, and those were both within 3 hours of our campus. And you've seen, I'm sure, the pictures of the '87 championship for sure, and that whole end zone was as blue and gold as it could possibly be, and it was quite the thing on campus. It really was. Absolutely. It was really at the time when Division III was just starting to get its feet under itself. Division III probably started, what was it? You would know better than I would, 75, 76, somewhere in that area. So this was really kind of a benchmark for Division III, and the fact that it happened in basketball was doubly good because you're always looking at the football and the basketball results. So to be able to win 5 in 8 years in order to do it in the way we did, where we were really next to, I think at that time was UCLA and Kentucky perhaps, and there's obviously Division I, the only people that have ever done it. And to this number, we've got people creeping up. There have been several now with the Wisconsin State schools that have 4, but nobody still has 5. Absolutely. Our postseason record, second to none, I'm sure, percentage-wise. What a great 8-year run, and I was very fortunate to be part of all that 8 years, helping Coach McCarroll for the first 3 championships, and then when he left, being able to take over and do some things with our own groups in '85 and '87. But we were very, very fortunate. This was a basketball crazy community, not just the North Park campus, which it obviously was, but the community itself. You couldn't get a seat in the building. It was really packed. We won the first 62 games that I coached at home, which is, next to impossible to even think about in reality. And it was really an exciting part, and we were very fortunate. We had great players. No coach is successful without great players, and we had great players. We had great staff. We had some great assistant coaches working with us. The school couldn't have been more supportive, and it was a dream. It was a lot of fun. They were so different and so unique from one another that makes it especially more enjoyable from my end. The fact that we were able to do it in '85 with one group, kind of turn it over and do it with a completely different group 2 years later. I think that the only guys who played were probably Mike Parker, Dan Mulcairn, and Todd Gerke that were on the '85 and the '87. I think Wade Seifert perhaps, but he was injured, were the only guys that were on both of those teams. And so the ability to do it one way in '85, turn around and do it another way was very satisfying.